Right now, it's been a long week. Truth or fiction, or how about who cares? Why is it the news this week, with a lot of big news, has actually been driven by the exploits of celebrities or the is it real, is it not real narrative? We'll take a dip into the shallow end. And next, you might think that Superstorm Sandy a distant memory, but for so many in our region, she's never left. We're going to show you how Sandy is still keeping some of our neighbors in tents. And later, women in combat. We'll hear from a female member of the armed services for her reaction to the news that women can now serve on the front lines. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thanks so much for joining us this Friday evening, January 25th. Now, you know, when you look back at the major news of the week here, there were some big stories, like a thing called an inauguration and big debates over important subjects. But there certainly has been an overriding theme as to what has dominated the headlines, and that is falseness. From a questionable apology to a questionable live performance to a questionable confession, this week has been all about trying to separate truth from fiction.
Manti Te'o.
Manti Te'o.
Manti Te'o.
Beyonce.
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 And Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong.
Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o. Beyonce. 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 And Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o. Beyonce. 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 And Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, it gave me a headache too. But the question is here, why do we care so much? And don't be holier than thou. We know the names, we know the stories here, we follow them, some with very avid interest and some just to see what everybody's talking about. Could it be that it's all being driven that we just love to see celebrities fall from the pedestal, that we always elevate them all too often prematurely on? Or is it that we expect too much from these people in whatever line of work it is, entertainment, sports, or in the political limelight? Well, joining us now to sound off on that and a lot more tonight, we got a grab bag of subjects. Anthony Figliola, political consultant and vice president at Empire Government Strategies. Dominic Carter, of course, political journalist and author. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Mark Rosen is a veteran of the war in Afghanistan, assistant professor at West Point, and a former congressional candidate. And David Laskin, new to our panel here, director of communications at the New York Republican State Committee. Gentlemen, thank you all very much. All right. I can get into the old holier than thou that I sit on my pedestal condemning how the coverage of these subjects has gotten there. But the fact of the matter is, the morning shows and the evening shows drive themselves off of one thing, and that's a rating point. And they obviously know, as you know, Dominic, nodding knowingly at me, they're leading with these stories because people care. The big scoop of the week is, you know, Manti, where did he go? He was on Katie here. Lance Armstrong, you know, who got the interview? Oprah. Literally the highest rating that network's ever had. Why do you think it is that we're so focused? Is it because they're so bizarre, these stories? Or we want a pound of flesh in the media here to, you know, confirm our suspicions that we and the public out here want these people to grovel with apologies because they've lied to us? Why do you think these stories have gotten so much traction?
Let's put it all in the pot. Everything you just said, let's mix it all together, stew it up, and that's probably the answer. I think, Richard, that one, a lot of this is driven because of ratings. I really do. When you think about it, and it'll make Kim Kardashian, I mean, I don't dislike her, but I still want someone to tell me what it is that she does. But maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I just don't get it on the panel.
I can, but this is G-Rin show.
Oh, okay. Because I just don't understand. But we do love to talk about celebrities. We love to hear about them. And more importantly, when someone else screws up, it says that we're not that bad of a person. Because look at that star. They screwed up as well. So it makes us feel a little better about ourselves.
But for some of these stories, Anthony, for example, the Armstrong story, it was like the Pete Rose. We all know he cheated. We know he gambled, or in this case, we know he did something, right? Why were we so obsessed, and the ratings through the roof here, to have him look in the camera and have to admit over hours, over 2 nights here, that in fact he doped? Yeah, not once, not twice, but basically systemically, he lied to all of us. He was a bad guy and a bully and all the other things that we already suspected. Why was it so important that we hear it from his own mouth?
Americans love train wrecks. You know, we all go through things in our lives, and we like to sit down and actually watch somebody be honest or semi-honest for a change. I think Lance Armstrong, he captivated the country, the world, I should say. You know, he defeated cancer, and he won 7 Tour de France's, to come to find out that he cheated the whole time. You know, and for him to actually come out and half admitting that he was cheating, it's interesting, it's fascinating. I wasn't going to watch it, and I was making dinner, I turned it on, and I'm sitting there glued to the television the whole time. Oprah turns everything to gold. It's incredible. So.
Manti Te'o, I think it took people 2 or 3 days to finally say the name the right way, but I can get this one, even though people say, why do you care? It's not that he committed, state crimes here. The kid lied about a girlfriend or was duped about the girlfriend, then lied a little at the end, or whatever the case may be. But it was so strange that it was hard to turn away. Admit it. You follow this a little, right?
Actually, I don't. I'm proud to say I've not watched any of this noise.
Really?
I get most of my intel through my wife, who reads Us magazine and fills me in. But the truth is, I think we teach this in Political Science 101, is the media is a mirror to us. And that's the problem. If that's us, we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing? I think we should, everyone should take a test at the end of every week on political and economic and history, and then we'd have to study for it. And we could turn off the Kardashian. But at the end of the day, this is nonsense, people. What do you think?
Well, I think it sounds good, but I do know this much. When I talked about the filibuster last night, I probably would have got more eyeballs if I talked about Kim Kardashian getting whatever she was into. I don't even know what she's into. Well, all right. You're the new guy, so I'm sticking you with Beyonce, all right?
All right. Worst people to be stuck with.
All right, there you go. Well done. But my point is, I couldn't believe everybody, we all know this, you've been around music entertainers, they all lip sync, right? But my God, this story had legs. For 3 days we kept talking about this. Did you care if she lip synced or not? And don't pretend like that.
No, not one little bit. And I think part of the underlying problem now is, you hit the nail on the head, Anthony. We have people who are famous just for being famous. I don't know what these people do. I think if we all agreed to only watch famous people do what it is they're famous for doing, I think a lot of this voyeuristic celebrity culture would eventually fall by the wayside.
Sounds good, but I do know the next one who does is somebody lip syncs at the Super Bowl here. They're going to be talking about this. Forget about the game on Tuesday. It'll be the lead story, right? Is she doing the Super Bowl? Who's doing the Super Bowl?
Yes, Beyonce's doing the Super Bowl.
Thank you, Brother Dominic. All right, we take a quick break. But when we get back, we will make the Lieutenant Colonel happy. We'll get to some politics here.
Yes,
and we will have behind-the-scenes story here of how Governor Cuomo twisted arms here and got the legislation to go along, including, that's right, the Republican-controlled state Senate, to pass the assault weapons ban and also the major gun control passage so quickly here. We'll get into that and much more after this.